In a world where fitting in often feels like the ultimate goal, being the outsider can be tough. But what if I told you that your outsider status is a competitive advantage? This week's podcast is all about the complexities of workplace dynamics, bumping into your authenticity and how you can use your uniqueness to amplify your potential. Hey everyone, I'm Laverne McKinnon and welcome to the Moonshot Mentor podcast. I'm a certified career coach and a grief recovery specialist, and I love to help ambitious, driven people feel confident, empowered, and excited after experiencing a career setback. It could be from feeling stuck in a tough period or frustration from slow progress. Whatever it is, I offer up tools and resources to revamp your path to career success. I'm a lone wolf. It's honestly been a pain point for most of my life because I would see groups of people having fun together and long to be a part of the in crowd. When I was going to middle school, I went so far as to literally strategize how I could fit in better. So I studied the more popular kids and I saw that they smiled a lot, so I started smiling more. And I became a joiner. I would sign up to any organized group that would have me. Student council, variety show, pom-poms. I think we all have a natural way of being, a way that we fit comfortably in our skin, whether we can breathe easy and our eyes soften and our jaw loosens. And then at some point early in our lives, we pick up on messaging that our natural way of being is getting in the way of being safe and successful. As an adult, this messaging continues, sometimes in the form of annual reviews, or it could be informal in the form of being left off of an email chain or not being invited to meetings or events or maybe skipped over for a promotion. We start to see ourselves as flawed or broken because we don't properly or exactly fit into the system. Now, I want to be clear here. Frequently, people are excluded through outright bias or implicit bias. For many of us, we angrily reject the feedback while simultaneously feeling terribly misunderstood. Or we receive the feedback wholeheartedly and hire a coach like me to transform. If you struggle with feeling like an outsider and experience ambivalence about your authentic self, you're not the only one. And while I hate to throw salt into the wound, I have to share that this may slow your career trajectory. It did mine. Here are two truths to help you find a place of empowerment. The first is you're not really alone. And second, aloneness is a competitive advantage. Let's take a closer look at both of these truths. So you're not really alone. You just need to find your people. This is easier said than done, and it can be done. How? By fully embracing your authenticity. This may feel terrifying, and there may be a time period in which you feel even more isolated. But think of authenticity like a lighthouse. It's a beacon that says, I'm here, you're safe with me, I'm your people, and you're my people. How do you become more authentic? By listening to your wants and needs. Now, you might be like me, where I've become such an adept people pleaser that it's hard for me to always identify what I want and what I need. So I've had to start with slowing down and paying attention to my body. My body gives me clues as to when I'm saying or doing something that's not authentic. My voice goes up a bit, my breathing becomes more rapid, or I hold my breath and my jaw gets really tight. When these things happen, I look to see what values are being stepped on, by me or someone else. Your values are a reflection of your authentic self. Okay, the second one is that aloneness is a competitive advantage. The desire to fit in is primal, safety in numbers. It also leads to groupthink, which are collective blinders. When people are caught up in groupthink, they are incapable of identifying weaknesses and threats, which then undercuts the belief of safety in numbers. As someone who is on the periphery, you can offer up perspective that the group cannot see. This is a huge competitive advantage and ensures the safety of the group. In the workplace, the feeling of not fitting in can manifest in various ways, not just being a lone wolf. So take, for instance, the introverted employee who struggles to assert themselves in a culture that rewards being an extrovert. This person feels overshadowed in meetings, dominated by loud voices and quick thinkers. If this resonates for you, I highly recommend heading to your local bookstore to check out Susan Cain's fabulous book, Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Won't Stop Talking. Then there's a creative thinker. stifled in a rigid, bureaucratic environment where innovation is seen as a distraction and sticking to the same old routine is prized above all else. Many of my clients who identify as creative thinkers also struggle in an environment without windows or fresh air. They literally feel like they're dying on the vine because of monotone color schemes and fluorescent lighting. And of course, we can't forget the newcomer, grappling with the unspoken rules and unwritten norms of office politics, desperately trying to decipher the complex social dynamics at play. When I had my first primetime creative executive job, I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to speak about production red flags at the weekly staff meeting with the president of the network. Turns out the meetings were presentational and not to be used for actual problem solving. I had no idea that this was a rule. Until, of course, I found out that it was a rule when people started not paying attention to me. All this to say that you don't have to identify as a lone wolf to feel excluded or overlooked. You could be the introvert, the creative thinker, or the newcomer, or any other identity. Whatever it might be, lean into your authenticity. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So let's take just a quick moment here for a little case study. My client, let's call her June, was hired as a creative executive for a small, talent-based production company. There were 6 employees, including her, and most of them had been working together for over 5 years. On the first day of the job, the 2 senior executives went to lunch with the big boss. The 2 assistants ate at their desks and gossiped. Turns out that was a tip of the iceberg in terms of what June deemed middle school cliques. June was not a chummy person who enjoyed small talk. She found deep satisfaction in focusing on her work during the day and being able to go home to her family at night. When she did go out for meals, she preferred to either do them solo so that she could read or as a business lunch to build relationships. After a few weeks, June put on her big girl courage pants, leaned into her authenticity as someone who is a strategic worker bee, and made suggestions to the team. The company needed a tracking system for submissions. They were not responding in a timely way, which was impacting how excited reps were to send material. The company did not have a deep well of development funds, so being responsive and building relationships was important to securing the best material, which is something the big boss would complain about. Why didn't we get submitted that New York Times article? June suggested that the big boss do a round of meetings with select studios to talk about their vision and lay the framework for those studios to potentially secure IP on behalf of the company. This way, they could be more competitive since they didn't have development funds. June used her outsider status as a newcomer to offer up these suggestions. Big Boss agreed to the tracking system, but not meeting with the studios. Through further conversation, though, June did get the okay to pass on material quickly if it wasn't a brand fit, and then flag what should be read by the team over the weekend as a way to be more responsive to the community. Think of yourself as the bird circling from 5,000 feet, identifying the Rocky Mountain terrain just beyond the tree line and pointing out what will be required to keep moving forward and reach the peak. Bottom line, societal pressures often push us to conform, telling us our uniqueness is a hindrance to success. Feeling like an outsider at work can sting, like really, really ouch sting, whether it's through subtle exclusions or outright biases. And this is when and where I say, double down on your authenticity. It's where your power lies. Go find your people. They are there, and they may have been relegated to the nooks or crannies, or maybe they're just simply hiding in plain sight. It takes courage, vulnerability, and patience to find them. Use your authenticity as a beacon, attracting those who accept you for who you are. And remember that your outsider status is a competitive advantage. While the desire to fit in is primal, it often leads to groupthink, blinding us to potential pitfalls. As an outsider, you bring a fresh perspective. You can spot threats and weaknesses that the group may be overlooking. So if you've ever felt like you don't fit the mold, know that you're not alone. Embrace your authenticity, find your tribe, and leverage your outsider perspective as a unique strength in your career journey. Okay, that's it for today. Head over to Moonshot Mentor on Substack.com for journal prompts to help you lean even more into your authenticity. I'd love to hear more about what being an outsider has been like for you, so please drop me a comment. I know other people would really appreciate it as well. You can also visit me at moonshotmentor.com where you can find links to all of my social and how to work with me. A very big thank you to Lynn Chen for the video and audio editing. You can find her on social at Ms. Lynn Chen. And if you enjoy what you hear, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe or even forward my podcast to someone that you think might enjoy it. It would help me achieve my moonshot of 5,000 subscribers. I really appreciate you tuning in, and I can't wait to see you next week.